What's up YouTube? I'm Vaughn and this is the Gear channel where we discuss collectibles, hobbies, compare games from tabletop to video games. In today's episode we are reviewing the 1994 First Spawn figure by Toddtoys. Now if you're not familiar with Toddtoys, that was the original name before it became the much more familiar name Mcfarlane's Toys. Now me personally, I think it was a good idea that they did that change because Mcfarlane's Toys sounds a lot more corporate and sounds like the toy manufacturer that you can actually trust. While Toddtoys sounds like someone was making dolls in a van, and if you read the comics, you know where that leads to. Finger painting for days. Now the market price for this figure has been around $140, but that could definitely change because there's rumors that a live action movie might be in production, and you all know how collectibles act when a live action movie is in production because we've seen it with Transformers and even Pokemon. The prices skyrockets and it definitely hurts everyone's wallets. So if you have a bucket list of figures that you want to get, I recommend to get it now before the prices skyrocket. Now the downside to this review is we don't have that many figures to do a size comparison with because the majority of my collection is actually sealed. But you can definitely change that by subscribing. The things that we would do for subscribers. Now with that being said, let's get started. And here he is, and he looks amazing for a figure that's almost 30 years old. This thing is well kept. Like, if we just even looking at just like the display of the paint job and everything, there's no cracks. The comic book still looks intact as well. The packaging itself is just well designed. And if we take a closer look, we have just a few more information on issue. We have the comic book. It says Toddtoys instead of Image Comics because this is actually a reissue. If we look at the back, it has accessories, that it has some articulation, the other figures from the same line that you could get, some Spawn Mobile, and also the Violator Monster Rig, and also the Spawn Alley. So there's a lot of other figures that they were trying to promote, and this is all attached on the same comic book. Now, for advice, if you are planning of getting any of these figures, if you are trying to display it and then change your mind and you want to put it back and hang it up, you can definitely do an L-shaped cut like this, so you could take out the comic book and the figure, and then if you want to put it back, you could definitely put it back in the package and have it hanged up. Same thing applies to the Wraith 2s. So the Wraith 2s, the backboards are actually just cardboard instead of a comic book. So you can actually do an L-shaped cut over here, pull it out, and you could even put it back and then just tuck in the plastic. Now we do have another Spawn to do a size comparison, but for the package. So as you can see, we have the hamburger face or the shoelace face as well, and if we look at both of them, they're pretty much the exact same thing except for different head sculpt. And if you take a closer look, you can clearly see the difference in head sculpts as well. Okay, so let's put it to the side and let's just go and take a look at the comic book. So we're just going to open on the side over here. It's quite simple. So this comic book just looks amazing, and I really recommend, if you are, well, I don't recommend, if you are actually purchasing this just in hope of getting this comic book graded, I would not do so because it is almost impossible to get one of these actual graded 10 or even in the 9s because how they were packaged and the figure pressing against them, there's a lot of dings and damage on them, so it's very unlikely that you're going to get one mint. But the comic book itself still looks amazing. It has amazing artwork still. Even till this day, it just looks amazing. I just love it. So good. Okay, let's put it to the side and let's get into reviewing the actual figure now. Here he is, and he just looks amazing. It gets better every single time. So definitely we're going to look at the accessories first. So first we have the cape, and this cape just looks really well done. I just love the hood in the back. It just looks really nice. The only issue is like probably due because of age, the wings don't really fold that well, and especially with him in it, definitely doesn't really fold. But it's okay. Display even out is still pretty nice. Now if you look at his little bat or chisel, or I don't even know what to call this actually, but he has it. And then we have his skull and chain that is going attached into this, but my camera does not want to focus, which is kind of bad. So let's see. Okay, a bit. No, barely. But anyways, one thing for sure is that there is 2 plugs holes over here and 2 plugs over here, so definitely you could peg them in. Now the only issue I have with this is that, let me just fix. Okay, oh look, now we could actually see it better. But the only issue I have with this is that it's actually longer than where the holes are, so you have to bend the chain just to actually peg it in. Okay, so there we go. And I'm not too crazy about doing so because it's an old figure and the plastic could easily dry out or either just break like that. So now let's actually take a look at Spawn. Oh, it just looks amazing, even for a figure that's what, almost 30 years old. It just looks amazing. There is no complaints at all. They did an amazing job sculpting him, the paint, everything. One thing that I would mention is that the chain here does actually unpeg like you saw for the demonstration. So here they unpeg so he could actually hold it. But the problem is they don't want to peg back in the back. And even till this day, I cannot have it like pegged in properly till this day. So I recommend not to take out the chain, especially like if you're not really going to be displaying it with him holding it, so it's not really worth doing so. Now if we take a look even at the legs, everything's all done. Now the peg over here is for the cape, but let's go into some articulations. First we have the head, definitely could go 360, even the arms could go 360. On this side, the right side is a lot tighter for some reason, and the left side is a lot looser. Maybe it's to hold his bat over here, so let's just see. It could have been a design thing actually, just so it doesn't fall down every time he holds it. Okay, legs going kick forward. It cannot really move anything back, but knees can definitely bend. But it's a bit too loose for my taste for the knees. Okay, so let's get his cape plugged in. So usually a lot of times you will actually put the chain after when you plug it in, but honestly it's such a hassle to put it on when he's in it. So we're going to just go, and you could definitely see on the side if it's pegged in. So right there, it's pegged properly. Now when it's pegged, it is lifted, which is, I'm not too crazy about it, but I'm not sure if I preferred it pegged or not pegged. But one thing for sure, he does look amazing and I just love it. Now definitely for a very old figure, we actually see that Todd Mcfarlane did an amazing job. Okay, and even with the figures nowadays, he did change articulation for more aesthetic, so a lot of his new figures don't have the posability as his old figures does, but they do look a lot nicer and they're a lot bigger as well. Now we're going to show you what it means in size comparison. So if we go for like the vintage one, we have over here, oh boy, if I could actually put him in the screen. Oh, Bedrock, a very damaged Bedrock, as you can see, broken, missing pieces. But don't worry, because I actually have another one sealed. So if you guys did want to see a review of him, there is another one I have that I could open up and actually do a review on. So not to worry about that. But if we actually look at the size comparison now, we could clearly see that just Spawn himself without the cape is actually smaller than him, but with the cape is bigger. So that little extra height he has, perfect. But if we go for a more modern Spawn figure, now like the color top figure that we reviewed before, there is definitely a size difference. Now if I could get them both, Spawn rings is kind of in the way, but there is definitely a big size difference with the more modern Spawn figures than with the vintage one. But still, this one is still way better though. So definitely, if you guys are considering getting him, I would definitely get him. And that's it for our review of the 1994 Spawn. Now, if you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to like and subscribe. And if there's any figures that you see behind me that you would like me to review on this channel, comment it down below. And if you want to see other products that we're planning to review on this channel, you can follow me on my Instagram, VaughnGear. I'm Vaughn, and this was the Gear Channel.